Hey, everybody, it's Michael Martin. Thanks for being here. Happy Monday. Hope you had a great week. Certainly a lot of volatility last week in the markets. We've got a lot to catch up on. I've been getting a lot of great feedback from folks about a lot of the things that we've been speaking about. First one is like, why are we moving? Well, for one, I record where I work and I want to change the energy of that. And I think having I guess more of a recording studio, professional kind of a place would bring several benefits. It would change the nature of where I'm trading and doing other things, like my personal life, and put it into a more professional environment where we get a higher output, meaning higher quality. It wouldn't be so much echo, perhaps, in the audio. The lighting would be consistent. And I would just be able to separate that. I think that's kind of important, kind of like a don't shit where you eat kind of a deal. There's also a lot of clutter, meaning what you can't see is all the gear that it takes to do the damn thing. We've got the mic, which is constantly in the way, no matter where I tend to put it. I need it because it's a pro mic. Then over there, I have the amplifier because it's not a USB mic, it's one of these XLR dealies. So that plugs into that. That goes into the mic. Then I've got the camera here on a stand, which is also in the way, and that kind of runs into the back of the computer as well. Then the software, obviously, is not in the way. Then we've got the lighting fixtures. We've got lots of natural light. So I just think it would change the energy of this place here and free some room up on my ever-crowded desk. So, and ultimately what I want to do is change a lot of the stuff that goes in here because it's kind of getting cluttered. There's a lot of moving parts. And the show seems to be resonating with you all. So now it's time for a bit of an upgrade, increase the quality, change the energy. So that's important to discuss. And yes, I'm actually going to cut the wall out behind me and take it with me so that you'll have this beautiful, off-white backdrop that I know all of you like. So it'll be that. I'll have a big hole in the wall here, but I'm willing to do that for you because that's how much I like to give. So thanks again. I appreciate all the feedback. Some of it's good. Some of you, I think with some of the comments, some of you are misunderstanding how things work, how the markets work. And instead of like naming names or rapping someone over the knuckles and tell them to go forth and procreate with themselves, I thought what I would do is better explain things on how the world works, so that, we're always kind of converging and getting on the same page, because my goal is always to give back to the community so that they can benefit and really kind of control their own growth. You get to determine the throttle, right? You can accelerate or decelerate. That's completely up to you. And just realize, like, too, when I talk about trading and this and that, a lot of the stuff that I'm going back to is from 25, 30, 35 years ago. The world's a very different place now. So much so that almost nothing is the same, right? I call the time that I started like the romantic period of trading, because there was a lot of, fraternity. There was a lot of people involved, and a lot of it was face-to-face, starting with where the trade got executed. There wasn't any electronic trading in those days. Floor traders and or brokers got together and made markets, because I never really knew who the counterparty were. I knew who the market participants were. There's hedgers, investors, and this and that. The term speculator anymore, I think, is a little outdated because there's so much math and science in it that would rival NASA, right? It's not a bunch of guys sitting around rolling dice, throwing darts. That's kind of funny, but doesn't work that way. There's too much math and science that goes into this anymore. In both the technical trading systems, the fundamental research, it's only gotten better. It's eons beyond what it used to be. And so that's a big change. commissions have compressed. The commission of a trade has become commoditized in and of itself. And just to give you context, prices on commissions and executions have come down between 95 and 95% compared to what it was when I started. Access to information. Because there was no internet at the time, there was no way to connect to other people. And in the sharing economy that we have, there was no way to convey your thoughts. If you wanted to get published, what you would do is you would call a publication, whether it was Barron's or Wall Street Journal, and see what their editor to the letters to the editor policy was. Did they accept outside content? Or you could go to like Connors, spelled CAHNERS, and see what professional trade publications they owned, and see, specialty kind of magazines. And they could be like everything from Variety magazine in the entertainment business to Woodworking and Cabinetry magazine. So it was very, very different on how you can get published. Now we went kind of from like where we used to make stuff for people, we have now farmed that out for cheaper labor, and we became a service economy. The service economy has become like a bit of a sharing economy. And you've got people with no particular skills trying to become influencers. And the technology and the availability of the internet and the platforms that go with, and I'm talking about any of the social media platforms, including the newer ones like, I guess TikTok would be one of the newer ones. I've mentioned the other ones, as well. For social media would be Instagram, Facebook. They're not necessarily great for finance, but they're out there and they allow people to publish content without needing an editor. So that didn't exist, right? The ability to market to people and find pockets of capital all online has really made that process so much easier. So forget the funding companies. You can go contact wealthy people who now, right, we really are 2 generations beyond how I used to do it. Used to be able to ask for third-party referrals, right, or make a cold call. Now you can go through LinkedIn and hustle people that way. You can join other industry groups. And because email is so ubiquitous, cold email isn't necessarily like the equivalent of what a phone cold call would be like. When email first came on board, anything that from somebody that you didn't know was considered spam. Nowadays, it's still kind of annoying for me because I'm just built that way. And I don't do cold email, but it's the world has changed drastically in the last 30 years. And so when you think about that as it relates to even Market Wizards, which came out in 1989, the way the things happened in 89, you can go back to the early 70s and the Commodities Corporation guys and when they kind of onboarded, and you think about what happened in that 20-year window from the early 70s to when the book was published. That was a certain snapshot of how life existed. When you go back from like even in the mid 70s to back when CC started and this and that, it was probably smaller than what you would call a cottage industry. There weren't that many players. I've mentioned it before on the show, but you had maybe like 6 to 12 professional organizations that would consider themselves commodity investors or speculators, or this and that. And they were actually very sophisticated for the day because they would also have mechanisms where they could not only trade the futures contracts, but they had built facilities so that they could actually take delivery of the physical and do what we would call cash and carry strategies. So it was way ahead of its time, 50 years ahead of its time, Commodities Corporation. But the point I want to make is if you look at any of the people in Market Wizards, which of course I have right here on the bookshelf, what those people did to make money up until the point where that book was written is fantastically different than what they're doing today. People who are purely systematic shoot from the hip and take discretionary trades. Folks who made their money by owning seats on the exchange in, say, the options market might be trading foreign exchange anymore, right? Folks who had a good market feel, like, say, Michael Marcus, rest his soul, evolved as human beings. So that book came out in 89, and it was probably true when it came out in 89. But those people aren't the same people as they were. They've evolved. And nothing is holding fast like that. The only guy who I know that started and ended his career, and I want to say this out loud, the only person that I know who started as a purely systematized trader and retired as a purely systemized trader was Bill Dunn. That's it. Everybody else has evolved as a human being. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that tomorrow, because as you start to think about how you are integrating with the marketplace, the market is going to evolve just like any other industry. And so you have to evolve as a human being as well, whether you like it or not. Else you can be one of those stars who burns hot and burns bright and has a really great window of time where you've done well for yourself, but then you're going to move on. Right? Denny Diaz was a guitar player for Steely Dan, and he's an amazing guy. He's here in California, and he was in the band for like 5 years, and now he's a computer guy, a programmer, and he's legendary. And the work that he did will live for hundreds of years. Amazing guitar player. So you have to be practical and understand that the world is not a static place, and the understanding that you have of some of the people that you look up to or who might be role models for you in the trading space, that target has moved. What you thought about them and what you think about them from yesteryear was in fact written in stone, and no one can take that success away from them. But people move on, right? People have to evolve. You see what I'm saying? So don't fall in love with your reflection like narcissists, because, use it to motivate you, but then understand that even once you get to the spot where you're able to execute a certain strategy, the market is going to ever evolve as well, whether you like it or not. And so your second order of business, after you find a systematized set of rules or a discretionary chart pattern, basically anything that you can do where you can reflect an edge or affect an edge in the marketplace, that's always under attack, you see? So you have to evolve. You have to adopt new strategies. You have to adopt new ways of looking at things, because it's already happening whether you like it or not. Right? There's never a system that's a man for all seasons, right? Even high-frequency trading strategies are tweaked and adapted probably every day. Swing trading strategies are changed every day. Trend-following models have to change every day, right? The early turtle rules, for example, were so volatile, you can't raise money with those anymore. The daily vol on the rules are too for the environment that we're in. The rules are too, the volatility on one's equity, right? Because allocators now are looking, what's the daily change in your equity? So it's too big. You'd have to gear down the leverage fantastically by 80-90% in order to attract an allocator in today's environment, right? So all of that changes. It might not be part of your consciousness because you're newer to the industry and you're trying to get your own feet underneath you to understand how you tick so that you can be you as far as trading is concerned. But just like the style of clothes, bell-bottom dungarees used to be a big thing in the mid-70s with your whale rib, stripes. Not so much anymore. Maybe some artist or musician can kind of pull them off with platform, Tony Orlando and Dawn style, platform shoes. More power to them. They're making a bit of a statement. That's fashion. But that's not really what's for sale when you go to any of the fashion stores. So in my own case, I'll talk about this a little bit more tomorrow. I was lucky to have gone through the experiences that I went through because they helped shape who I am. But every day I'm growing. And, I'll leave it at that for today. We'll talk about more tomorrow because I don't want to blather on. And what are we up to? 14 minutes for today. So we'll call it a day today. Please like and subscribe and click the little belly thing that Ganja talks about. And I will see you tomorrow. Okay, everybody. Thanks for being here. Please take a minute, like and subscribe to the show. You could also leave a comment. I don't have all the answers, so it's good to get some feedback. Also, if you would like to support the show, check out the links below. You can get the free audiobook of The Inner Voice of Trading, and also information about the course that I teach with Victor Sperandio. Thanks for being here, folks. I'll see you tomorrow.